Greetings and salutations, my name is OJuiceee as always, and welcome back to the horribly named DBD-a-thon, which, as a reminder for everyone, is where I go over every single killer in Dead by Daylight, from Trapper all the way up to Springtrap, where I'll cover their general gameplay, their power, teachable perks, a little bit of their lore. I'm not a lore guy, so don't expect too much, cosmetics, and my general thoughts on them. And unlike in the Wraith video where I had to correct myself on a few things, I actually don't have to correct anything from the previous video. So we can jump straight into the killer of today's video, that being Max Thompson Jr., also known as the Hillbilly. But I may have just lied. Before we jump into the Hillbillies lore, because that's what I'll start off every single one of these videos with, I'm going to give an enormous apology. Now, why would I give an enormous apology, you may think? It's because I suck. I suck at Hillbilly. I cannot play him to save my life. You're seeing gameplay of me playing the Hillbilly in the background. Admittedly, you know, I've never played him on PC. I've been playing Xbox Dead by Daylight for ages, but to make this series of videos, I picked up Dead by Daylight on Steam for £6 and I use OBS to record it. Simple, right? Well, I can't play Hillbilly to save my life on Xbox, let alone with a mouse and keyboard. I am very, very sorry to anyone who is an avid Hillbilly fan that watches this video, because they're going to see some of the worst gameplay they've ever seen in their life. And you know what the funniest part about it all is? I still came out of both of the games in this video with 3 kills. 3! I won. By definition, like, I like to use Ots Davas. Davas? That's not the last part of it. Ots, the funny Dead by Daylight guy. I like to use his definitions for a win. So 3 kills, 1 person escapes, or, you know, you get a 4K. I won both of my games. How? I played horribly. I'm one of the worst Hillbillies to ever do it. I'm that bad. You know, I can't even... I fumble hard at every turn and yet still somehow come out with wins. If that goes to show how easy playing killer can be sometimes, I don't know what will. But with my major confusion over how my games went as well as they did out of the way, I would like to start with Hillbilly's lore by reading his in-game bio. And it reads as such: the son of wealthy landowners Max Thompson Sr. and Evelyn Thompson, this unnamed boy was an unwanted child born to savage parents. Hideously disfigured, he was shut away from society. So ashamed of their son, they bricked him off into a room and fed him through a hole in the wall. When the boy escaped, he took his revenge savagely and terribly, slaughtering the parents that had tortured him instead of raising him. After the deed was done, he continued to live his life at the farm, taking out his deranged violence on the animals that were allowed to run free. As he broke free from his shackles, he ran through the cornfields, chasing and slaughtering whatever he could find. They never found the bodies of Max and Evelyn, but they did find tortured and disemboweled animals all over the farm. Coldwind Farm was quickly settled, and the land split up and sold off. There was never a buyer for the farmhouse. Perhaps it was the sound of the chainsaw you could hear throughout those hot summer nights. That last line, by the way, absolutely aura. I'm going to use the stinky word, aura. That last line is so cool. I don't know why it clicks with me so well, but it just really, really hits hard. But with his bio read, I'd like to move... again, by the way, I don't do lore. Don't expect further delving into it, right? But with his bio read... oh, my throat. I'd like to move on to his design. Now, just like one of the other original 3, that being Trapper, Wraith, and Hillbilly, obviously, Hillbilly, just like the Trapper, shares a lot of similarities and takes enormous inspiration from one of the most iconic horror killers of all time. That being Leatherface, you know, with the whole thing of being a disfigured boy on a farm filled with a bunch of crazy people, blah blah blah. Well, then his family weren't crazy, they were just horribly cruel. Hillbilly, I mean, not Leatherface. His family were crazy. clearly he takes a lot of inspiration from Leatherface, from the disfigured figure, the use of a hammer, which also Leatherface uses, and wow, I wonder what other weapon he uses that might be similar to Leather. It's the chainsaw. It's the chainsaw. The chainsaw is very clearly a link to Leatherface. No shit. But in Hillbilly's defense, I think he can stand on his own. I think his quite visible disfigurement with the sort of lopsided shoulders and the weird... his face is really odd. Like, the skin is almost like plastered over his face, which is quite a cool look. I actually quite like Hillbilly's base design. I think it's quite impressive. I also think it's quite cool that he walks around with like a limp, like a hobble. I think that actually adds to his character. I mean, you can even see it in gameplay, like when he's walking around, the camera sort of wobbles a bit, or when he's carrying a survivor, it kind of wobbles. I think that's really cool. I think he's very simple looking, though. I will give him that. But again, as I said in the 2 previous videos, he has quite a recognizable silhouette due to his like lopsided design with the shoulders and the limp, etc. And as I've said before, a silhouette, if you can recognize a killer by their silhouette, they do have a good design. Damn, I'm making a lot of mistakes in this video. Stuttering is not the one. But anyways, with his design discussed, I would like to talk about his gameplay. Now, Billy's power, as you could quite... By the way, I say I'm going to call him Billy. I don't know if I've already been doing that throughout this video. Only now did it just click with me. Billy is obviously a shortened version of Hillbilly, because, I don't know, it makes life easier. Billy's power is, to no one's surprise, his chainsaw. He is able to hold the power button to charge up the chainsaw. In that state where he's charging it up, he's like slowed down slightly. But once he's able to fully charge it, he then breaks into what is called a chainsaw sprint, where he starts zooming around the map at hypersonic speeds, and any survivor hit by the chainsaw sprint are immediately downed. You don't have to hit them twice, it's an insta down. Well, you don't have to hit them twice as long as you're not using one of the worst add-ons in history. That being the one that makes it so your chainsaw injures. That sucks. Don't use it. Unless you're doing some cheeky, weird build stuff. I think his power... Oh, I also... Before I even go on and talk, he also has an overdrive state, where by revving the chainsaw and using it, it causes the meter for the overdrive to increase, and said meter decreases when not in use. Once full, he goes into a special state called the overdrive, where the chainsaw is enhanced with a quicker charge speed and a quicker sprint speed, as well as having a shortened cooldown on the chainsaw sprint. Lasts for 20 seconds, which was an addition. I don't remember when that got added, but it must have been a couple years ago, like 3-4 years ago. He didn't always have it, is what I'm trying to say. And you know what? I'm sure you can tell by watching my gameplay in the background, I can't use this power for shit. I am very, very bad at using this power. For me, someone who isn't good at him, it is a mobility tool. It helps me get from one place to the other. See, Billy is one of them killers who's usually in the upper echelon. I think a while back, he was like arguably number 2, like almost the best killer in the game. No one's ever going to beat Nurse, who, by the way, that will be next video, I think. Yeah, should be Nurse next. He was almost the number 2 killer in the game. It was him or Blight. It was discussion. I don't know where he stands now, because, again, he's a killer that I don't play because I'm not good at him. Those that are good at him, mind-blowing. Some of the stuff I've seen from, like, proper Hillbilly mains, wow. Incredible stuff. Unbelievably quick downs. Turn, map traverse. They are good. They are good. Hillbilly mains scare me. I hear the sound of the chainsaws whenever I play Survivor. I'm literally sitting there crossing my fingers and toes that they are not good at Hillbilly, because I know I will not have a fun time. That and I'm bad at Survivor, but that's besides the point, you know. But me, personally, although I like his power, it's a cool power, I like the mobility it gives, but again, you've got the visual indicator behind you. I'm not very good at using it. That's what the point. I'm sure I'm going to title this video like Hillbilly, a killer I suck at, because that is what I'm trying to get across. I'm terrible at this dude, but I have to cover every killer and or give them a funny title, and I think that works. But yeah, with his general gameplay being discussed in some way, shape or form, I mean, what do they really say? Use chainsaw, down people, and fly around the map at hypersonic speeds? It's basically his gameplay, right? I'm gonna get flamed for saying that. Well, hey ho, let the flames come, I say. But with that discussed, I would like to move on to talking about his teachable perks, which, unlike the last two killers, that being Trapper and Wraith, these ones are actually good. They're good perks. What? The first of Hillbilly's 3 teachable perks is Enduring, which has a description that reads as such: you're resilient to pain. You reduce the duration of pallet stuns by 40, 45, and 50% respective of level. Has no effect whilst carrying a survivor. With flavor text reading, he stops at nothing. This perk is not niche, I think. It's actually quite good. It's good not only for new players, because obviously they're probably going to get hit with pallet stuns a lot, but this perk is integral to making any pallet shredder build work. And I must hold my hand up and say, I actually really enjoy pallet shredder builds. I just think they're really fun to do. Like, a personal example is like Enduring, Brutal Strength, Spirit Fury, and then Hubris. I think Hubris is the one. I think Hubris is the right perk I'm thinking of. It's the one from Night where when you get like stunned, the survivor becomes exposed. That one's really fun. Like, it's a really fun combo because you'll get hit by the pallet, stunned for no seconds, the Spirit Fury activates, breaks the pallet immediately, and now the survivor's exposed and go down immediately. Like, that's a really fun combo. And again, it's good for new players, which a perk off of one of the 3 beginning killers should be. Next though, we have Lightborn, which has a description that reads as such: unlike other beasts of the fog, you have adapted to light. You're immune to blindness caused by flashlights, firecrackers, flashbangs, and blast mines. Survivors that attempt to blind you have their aura revealed for 6, 8, and 10 seconds respectively of the perk's level. With flavor text reading, these monsters, they adapt, they emerge with strange new abilities. Now, this perk is pretty good for beginner players because it obviously eliminates the threat of flashlights and other stuff that would blind you, but this perk is a crutch perk. It is there to help a new player eliminate a potential issue they may have with the game, but I'm going to be honest, you should just kind of learn how to counter flashlights naturally. Like, when you pick up a survivor, look at a wall or do a 360, or like, oh, not a 360, a 180 flick just as you go to pick them up. Like, flashlights can be an issue, right? I'm sure there's bully squads that obviously just use nothing but flashlights and ruin your life, but Lightborn, if they're not doing that, if they're not using flashlights, or it's a very luck-based perk almost, because if they're not using anything that could blind you, you literally only have 3 perks. You have wasted a perk slot. It is a crutch. I would highly recommend anyone that tries to play this game to kind of stray away from it. Maybe use it if you need to, if you're getting bullied a lot by flashlights and stuff, but otherwise just kind of learn the techniques to avoid being flashed in the first place. Finally though, we have Tinkerer with a description that reads as such: whenever a generator is repaired to 70% progress, it triggers a loud noise notification, and you are granted the undetectable status effect for the next 12, 14, and 16 seconds respectively. This effect can only be triggered once on each generator. Undetectable hides the killer's aura, terror radius, and red stain, with flavor text reading as such: the Hillbilly makes impressive tools out of scraps, tools aimed at maiming us in creative ways. Now, this perk is good. It's not great, but not bad. It's helpful for undetectable builds, I suppose, but I would argue that if you're doing a undetectable build, there are better perks than this. It's good though because it also gives you information, which is obviously a good thing, because it only activates when a generator is at 70% progress. So once it activates, it not only tells you what generator's just gone off, but it also allows you to approach said generator completely silently. Well, not completely, but you get my idea. So it's more of an information perk, actually, and the undetectable is just like a bonus for you to approach the actual generator, which, I mean, yeah, it works. It's a decent perk. I like it. I've used it every now and then. I might use it in an upcoming video. Not the nurse one, though. I've got some fancy little builds for the nurse one. In one of them, I used a build that didn't even actually get any value. I was basically playing perkless and still managed to win. But with his perks, his teachable perks, thoroughly discussed. Thoroughly? Decently enough discussed. I would like to move on to cosmetics. And as a reminder, for those who have not watched the previous videos, might be your first time, or who just need a refresher, I am going to be covering my least favourite skin and my favourite skin, with least favourite skins being limited to ultra rares and above, because if I didn't limit it to that, I could easily go, here's some yellow recolor that only makes Hillbilly's tank top red. That's the worst skin. Yeah, no shit. So yeah, I have to do very rares or higher for least favourites, and for favourites, I can pick anything, even the legendary, visceral, whatever they're called, skins. Starting off with my least favourite skin of the Hillbillies, it has to be Highwayman and its recolor. I don't remember which one came first, I must admit, so I'm just gonna pick this one that you're seeing on screen called Highwayman. I think I actually even click on the other one to just show it. The skin does nothing for me. Like, genuinely, it's such a nothing skin. Like, it's just the outfit. The outfit just doesn't do anything for me. He's still wearing a tank top. His face isn't much different outside of, like, the sideburns they gave him. His trousers are still kind of brownish. I think the best bit about the best bit about the skin is probably the weapon, which is a sawed-off shotgun that he's holding from, you know, the barrel, and it's got like nails coming out of the end of it. That's kind of cool. I actually quite like that design for his main weapon. Though I will admit, a lot of Hillbilly's skins run into the issue of having cool weapons that you're not really ever going to see, because obviously the idea is you use the chainsaw for every single kill. But if you're me and you're bad at him, then you're not going to you actually get to see the weapons. Whoa! But yeah, this skin doesn't do anything for me. It is unbearably boring. It was between this and the Blighted skin, because I think the Blighted skin looks almost too similar to the original design. And I know that's the idea, right? But when you look at characters like Rafe, who have these drastic changes where, like, Rafe's heart is just there. You can just see his heart in his chest, and that's really cool. Hillbilly's Blighted skin is just kind of a bit boring. He's just like a how do I put this in words? I was going to say harder, but I don't think that's the right term for it. More rough looking. Yeah. But Highwayman beats it out just because I think it's boring. It is original, sure, but it's boring. It doesn't do anything for me whatsoever. And before we move on to my favourite skin, I'd like to give honourable mentions to the fictional cat skin, which is it's a really good skin, well worth the money too. You get unique sound effects and stuff with it. I think that's awesome. That's a great, like, and it's not even a legendary, it's a very rare, which is pretty great. And I'd also like to give an honorable mention to the Vile Scarecrow skin, which was my favorite for a long ass time, because I think the design of it is so gross. It's so cool and gross, and I've only now just realised this is 2 times in a row I've had a Scarecrow skin almost as my favourite. But anyways, moving on to my actual favourite. Now, some may recall that in the Trapper video I said if there is a skin that is swamp themed or aquatic themed, I'm more than likely going to have it as my favourite. This is another culprit of that. The Thousand-Eyed Toad is such a good skin. Oh my god, it is gross. It is gross. It just, it looks, I cannot put into words how disgusting this skin looks. All of the extra eyes and stuff, how you can almost see the remnants of Hillbilly's face merged into what is like a deformed frog face. There's literally eyes everywhere. His rib cage is kind of like open, and it transitions into the mouth of a frog, and like you can see that his jaw is like unhinged and still there, but it's also like frog stuff. It looks so goddamn cool. Like, I can't even put into words how awesome I think this skin is. Like, it's gross, it's disgusting, and the weapon even looks pretty cool as well, just being a weird giant club of moss, and I think, no, it's a bone, right? Yeah, it's a bone covered in spikes and water. It just looks awesome. I think the 1,000 eyes are really cool. It looks great. I cannot express enough how much I love aquatic themed skins. You're going to see it later. A little spoiler for quite a far way down the road. My favorite plague skin is the aquatic one. It's my favorite skin in the game by the decent mile. But anyways, with that said, let us come to the conclusion of this video. Now, in conclusion, there is no conclusion. I'm going to end this video like I do every single other one of my videos, with just me saying, I think the Hillbilly... I don't end every single video saying, I think the Hillbilly is pretty neat, but you get the point. I think the Hillbilly is a pretty good killer. He deserves his spot as one of the original 3, quite easily as well. I think of the lot, he's probably had the most influence on the game in the long term. Like Trapper, as I said, or as you know, if you've watched that video, I think he's forgotten. They forgot about him. He needs desperate changes, but they have not touched him for some reason or another. And Rafe has always kind of been the same. He's never really changed either. Whereas Hillbilly got like the rework with his power and the overdrive, and then he became like one of the best killers in the game. So he's had his moment in the spotlight, and you know, he's had an impact on the way the game was played at some point. And also, his perks are good, unlike the other 2. I mean, okay, Trapper does have brutal strength, which I do like, and agitation, which is pretty good, but yeah, no, the other ones, not great. But yeah, Hillbilly is a pretty good killer. I'm terrible at him, as you can quite clearly see from the video playing in the background, and I'm sure you're going to see my generational fumble at the end. But speaking of, I'm going to let the clip in the background play, just like in all the other videos, and I hope you have a good evening, afternoon, morning, etc. And the next video will be about the woman who has destroyed this game's balance since her introduction, the nurse.
Bye.